can tell her she's.
Good morning.
You can check her slide.
Good morning to all of you. A warm welcome to each and every one of you. And this is our second day for this program. I request our organizing secretary, Dr. Victoria Madam, to kindly start the session. She will introduce the speaker and she will start the session. Madam.
Hello, madam. Okay. So a very good morning and warm welcome to our speaker, Madam Madhusmita Datta, who is a junior faculty from Extension Education Institute, Assam Agriculture University, Jorhat. We are very fortunate to have Madam here. And then I extend my heartiest welcome to all the participants from across the country on the second day of our IDRACE online training program. Before we start the program, I will introduce Madam to everybody. Our wonderful speaker today is Madam Madhusmita Datta. She is currently serving as a junior faculty, Extension Education Institute, Assam Agriculture University. She has conducted more than 100 trainings on soft skills development, extension management, and market-led extension. And then she has been serving as a trainer under EEI Jorhat on soft skills such as public speaking, adaptability, timeline-driven, flexibility, communication skill, team building ability, and how to stay energetic and enthusiastic, and then other soft skills personalities. So Madam will be speaking on the topic effective interpersonal skills for professional, so which I personally feel is very important, as our participants who are the faculties here and other participants who are the students, this is a very much needed skills we should possess as being a professional. And then my students, when you are ready to work in the real life scenario, this will be a very good skill we all should possess. So let's all take advantage from Madam today. Let's try to extract so much of knowledge from Madam. So Madam, the platform is all yours. We have met you as a co-host. You can start your session.
Thank you, Madam Victoria. First of all, I would like to thank you, Dr. B.N. Hazarika sir and College of Horticulture and Forestry, Pasighat, Arunachal Pradesh, and all the organizing team members for giving me this opportunity to share my point of view with these participants. This is actually really helpful for me also to upgrade my skills, to upgrade my status of presenting before the participants. So thank you, ma'am. So may I know participants actually background, ma'am?
Madam, our participants is a mixer. Okay. Some of them are already working and some are our own faculties also. Oh, and okay. Then, but more than half is our students and students from different parts of the country. It is a mixture, madam.
Okay. Thank you. So is my slide is visible?
Yes, madam, it is visible.
Okay. So shall we start then?
Yeah, madam, you can put in the presentation mode. You can. Madam, you can do in this one, the presentation mode.
Yeah. It's okay now?
Yes, it is visible now.
Okay. So good morning, everyone. So the session given to me is effective interpersonal skills for professionals. So before starting my presentation, before starting my presentation, I want to hear from the participants. Actually, you can just unmute yourself, as well as you can just text it in the chat box. So what is the interpersonal skills, basically? So since this is the session of the soft skills, basically, so it is very necessary, or we are going to discuss about communication things. So we have to both the as well as the resource person as well as the participants, both if we communicate together, then only it will be effective interpersonal skills. So at first, actually, I want to know from participants. So what do you mean by interpersonal skills? You can text in the chat box. Anyone? Anyone?
Madam, can I unmute them, all of them, so that there should not be any background disturbance? If I unmute everyone, so they can interact sometime background wise. So better if they do
They
the
can text
chatting.
also. Oh yeah, they are
Yeah, yeah.
texting. Yeah.
Yeah, replying.
It's okay. Yeah, ability to define activities, skill for communication between two or more people. Yeah, the skills to deal with people around, communicate, conflict management, etc. Yeah. So all are true. So interpersonal skills, basically it is a skills or it's the ability to maintain the relationship with other people. So as we are professional, so we are working in an organization. So each and every time we have to communicate with other person to the work done. To assign some work also, or to give some feedback to our superior authority also. So each and every time we have to communicate, or we have to maintain some relationship, or we have to build a rapport with other persons, or whether it is junior, whether it is senior, whether it is our colleague, no matter. But if we are working in an organization, or even in our day-to-day life also, we have to maintain some relationship with each and every people. So this is the actually ability to maintain how we can develop this rapport, or how we can develop this relationship, effective relation with each and every person. So that is basically called interpersonal skills. So most of the participants, actually, they are students. So you are preparing for a kind of interview, right? So to appear this kind of interview, we have to build strong interpersonal relationship, or strong interpersonal skills we have to possess with us, so that we can effectively communicate with our superior, or with our junior, with our colleague, for appearing the interview also, and to work in any kind of organizations also. So in my first photograph, you can see that what are the factors of interpersonal skills. Through interpersonal skills, we can develop some kind of leadership of ourselves itself, and even we can influence the other persons also to develop their leadership quality among them. Then we can motivate the people also, so to share some ideas. What are the ideas they have, they can quickly share. And whenever we are working in an organization, definitely we have to work in a team. Then for that also, interpersonal skills is very, very essential. So if we work in a team, then we can take some responsibility to accomplish the task, any kind of task we can accomplish it. So for that, we have need very interpersonal skills, effective interpersonal skills. Then if we develop this kind of interpersonal skills also, we can develop our caring also, caring to other people also. Then most important thing is, in interpersonal development skills, we have to develop active listening skills. So you can, in my second diagram, you can see there are different kind of interpersonal skills, right from communication skills to conflict management, then persuasion, affirmation skills, adaptability, negotiation skills, team building, and many more. But since we have limited time, so we are in today's session, we are going to discuss only 3 components. That is communication skills, first of all, which is most important. Then the listening also, the part of communication, which is very much essential in interpersonal development skills. Then lastly, the team building. Though we are going to work in an organization, so for that, team building or teamwork is essential. So that is why I have selected these 3 components: communication skills, listening skills, and team building in today's session. So in between, if you have anything to share, then you can just use the text box. Okay. So let us go to the presentation. So why we need interpersonal skills? What are the reasons for developing our interpersonal skills? So there are so many reasons I have put to get the work done. So if we want to done any kind of work, suppose we are visiting some hospital, so we don't know which is the department in which way. So for that, we have to ask someone in the hospital authority or hospital staff that the neurology department is on which chart. So like that, some receptionist in which part. So like that way. So yeah, we need that kind of information. So to get that kind of work done, we have to communicate, or we have to develop some rapport with some persons from hospital staff. So that for that reason, we need some interpersonal skills. Then again, to know each other. So since we're working in an organization, we have to know each other better. Then only we can effectively work in a team. So for that also, we need the interpersonal skills. Then to get the empathy. Empathy is a very actually important thing at present situations, because the meaning of empathy is we can understand the feeling of others. So that the trust between the 2 persons will be developed. Then only we can work effectively in a team. So the empathy, to get that empathy also, we have to develop our interpersonal skills. We have to communicate more and more with the people. Then to get the feedback. So while communicating with the other people, so if we get some feedback from you, suppose at present situation where I am communicating with you, I am delivering some delivering some speech on that specific topic called interpersonal skills. So if you give me the some feedback as a participant, suppose it is important for you, it is not important for you, so just like that. So by getting those kind of feedback, I can develop my presentation, way of presentation, or I can develop my input. So this is also very much essential. To get feedback, we have to develop some interpersonal skills. To know the communication direction, on which way we have to communicate with the other person. While communicating, the communicator and the receiver, we have some common understanding between us. Then only it will be, our communication direction will be same. Then only we can effectively communicate with the people. Then to build a relationship. Of course, even though we are working in an organization, we have to build a relationship among us. We have to develop some strong kind of relationship, so that effectively we can feel home in our workplace also. And by that way, we can accomplish our tasks very quickly and effective manner. For that, we have to build our relationship with other persons, our colleagues, our juniors, our seniors. So for that also, we have to develop these interpersonal skills. So I can put the pyramid structure, you can see. So there are 4 stages. First one is exposure, then experience, more experience, and lastly the expertise. So while developing the interpersonal skills, so suppose we want to develop our interpersonal skills. So first of all, what are the basic steps? What is the basic steps? So basic step is exposure. We have to get some exposure to develop our interpersonal skills. So how do we get this exposure? We have to, each and every day, we have to communicate with at least one stranger, or not only stranger, with on at least only one persons of our known, nearby persons. So that by that way, we can develop our experience. Each and every day, if we try to communicate with 1 or 2 persons, so this way we can get some exposure, and by that way we can develop, we can experience our interpersonal skills. So slowly we can get more experience of the interpersonal skills, and lastly, If we develop this, this idea, we can use this idea in our day-to-day life, then obviously after 6 months or after 8 months or after 1 year, we can be the expert in developing the interpersonal skills. We can be expert in our communication skills. We can develop our interpersonal skills also, our listening skills also. So these are actually pyramid of interpersonal skills. How we can develop our interpersonal skills. So these are the basic 4 steps to develop the interpersonal skills. I think it's clear, na? So first component I want to discuss is communication skills. So as we all know, communication, it is a process of conveying the information to the other people. Of course, it is a two-way process. The first person will communicate first some kind of information he or she will pass to the receiver. Receiver will get that message or get that information. He or she will analyze the information and what actually he or she need. So that kind of information he will accept or he will receive. After that, he or she will give some feedback. Okay, I am listening. Okay, I can understand this topic. So just like that, he will give some feedback. So this way, communication, it is a two-way process. In our situation also, in this session, it is very much essential. Proper, effective communication we need in this session. That means we need two-way communication process for our effective understanding of this interpersonal skills. So basically, communication, it is a connecting with people. We can connect more and more people through this communication process. Now, at present days, there are so many platforms are there for communicating with people. We can use the social media also, like Facebook, Instagram, then WhatsApp. So by that way also, we can develop our communication skills. But it is very much essential to develop our communication skills. Then only we can work in an organization and effectively accomplish our task. So there are two types of communication skills. One is called verbal and one is called non-verbal. Basically 2 types, but you can characterize in 3 parts also. That verbal means vocal, visuals, and body language. That is called non-verbal communication. So verbal communication, it includes like listening, then speaking, reading, and writing. So these are the basic things we can, basic way of communicating with other people. We can read out something, some books and some newsletters like that. We can writing also, texting the message. Then speaking also, public speaking we can use. We can speak in a phone call also. So like that way also we can communicate. And most, importantly, the listening skills. We have to listen to the communicator who actually wants to share some ideas. So these are the called verbal communication skills. And some non-verbal communication, which is very, very, very essential. So non-verbal communication, we can term it as a body language also. Our facial expression, our eye contact with the receiver, then our gestures, postures. So our, where actually we are keeping our hand, how actually we are attracting or focusing the communicator. So these are the called non-verbal communication or body languages. So these are the communication series of experience. You can see hearing, then smelling, seeing, touching, and taste. So in a communication process, we use all these sense: hearing sense, smell sense, seeing, touching, taste, everything. So all are the component of communication experiences. Then it is a thumb rule of communication, you can term it as, which is given by Albert Mehrabian. So actually there are 3 points. The thumb rule is called as 55-38-7. So you can see in the diagram, so 7% it is word, and 38% it is voice tone, and 55% it is body language. While communicating with other people, what kind of word we are using that express our idea, only 7%. Most of the times we actually afraid of speaking something, afraid of communicating something, because our word stock is not so strong, right? So, but if we see this formula, we can understand that only 7% words, 7% of what we are communicating are depend on what kind of words we are using. Next 30% is on voice tone. So what kind of voice we are going to use while communicating with others? That depends on around 38% of understanding of the receiver. If we use the same voice tone with our superior also, with our junior also, with our colleague also, then of course there actually it is not possible not to deliver actually what we want to share with our colleagues or juniors, because we have to use different voice tone with different persons. And lastly, the body languages. So in the way of communicating, what kind of facial expression, what kind of eye contact we are actually using to communicate with other person, that helps the receiver to understand 55% of what actually we want to communicate with the people. So basically, we have to give concentration on our body languages. Since it is an online platform, it is very, difficult to understand by body language, right? So we have, as a part of body language, we have to use our facial expression, or we can just use our text messages, so that you can, I will be able to know that whether you are understanding my points or not. So just like that, it is a thumb rule of communication, which is given by Albert Mehrabian. Words 77% only, voice tone 38%, and body language 55%. I think it's clear, na? Up to this point. Let me check. Yeah. Okay. Now, communication key elements. What are the key elements in the process of communication? You can see the diagram. For effective communication, what we first need, what is the component? First of all, we need to communicate. So first of all, we need one message, what we are going to communicate with our receiver. So message is the first component or first element of communication process. And after that, we need sender, who will be communicating. So that is sender. It is a second important elements of communication process. And third, to whom we are communicating. That means the receiver. So receiver have to receive the message. Otherwise, there is no meaning of communication, right? So receiver is the third key elements of communication process. Then after that, feedback. After receiving the information, receiver will give some feedback. So that will be the fourth key elements of communication process. And while communicating with the receiver, there will be some barriers like noises and physical disturbances also. So many barriers are there. While using that online platform, there will be some network issues also. So that can be barrier for our communication process. So that can be a fifth element of communication process. So after that, encoding and decoding are some sub-element of this communication process, because while communicating with the persons, the sender will use some code or some languages. So that can be encoded. That means we are communicating something, right? I am speaking something. So the word we are using, that is, we have to encode it to the message, so that message can be understood by the receiver. After making this message, that can be decoded by the receiver also in their own words, in their own terminology, or in their own own mind situations. So that is called decoding. So encoding and decoding are some sub-element of this communication process. So basically there are 5 elements of communication: sender, message, receiver, feedback, and physical barrier, or we can term it as noise. So this is the key elements of communication process. Then next is types of communication. So basically there are 3 types of communication. Downward communication, it is the direction from a senior to the subordinate level for assigning some duties, then instructions to inform, to offer feedback or approval, to highlight problems or anything. So these are some downward communication. I will show the example. Then upward communication, that means from bottom to up. Okay, so direction is from subordinate to senior. Suppose for giving feedback, then to inform about progress and problems, then to inform about the status of our task, like that. Then seeking approvals. So these are some upward communication example. Then third one is lateral or horizontal communication. So among the colleagues or among the same group of people, same categories of people. So this is called horizontal or lateral communication. Suppose peer at same level for information level of information sharing, for coordinating to save some time. So suppose at our own level, we have one group, and then our colleagues are there in that group. We are communicating and we are passing some kind of information which are instructed by our director or our superior authority. So that can be horizontal communication or lateral communication. So basically there are three types of communication. So these are the diagram of, or we can say that hierarchy level of communication. Downward communication means executive director, then vice president, then AGM, manager, superior, then lastly the foreman. Sorry, supervisor, lastly the foreman. Then upward communication to again states. Foreman will pass the information to supervisor, then supervisor will pass the information to manager. I mean, like feedback or status of progress, just like that. Then after that, AGM, vice president, and lastly the executive director. So this is called upward communication. And next one is called horizontal communication. So supervisor 1, supervisor 2, supervisor 3, among them they will be communicating, and after that they will give some feedback or status update to the manager. So that is called horizontal feedback. Within the same group, same peer, they will be discussing about some events, or they will be discussing about their task also. So that can be termed as horizontal or lateral communication. So these are the three types of communication. What is effective communication now? We have discussed the communication process, two-way process, sender and receiver, then elements of communication, then types of communication. So now, what is the effective communication? So to be effective, the communication, it should be that it is a means of communication through which people exchange information, their feelings and ideas in a way of establishing a common understanding. That means if we communicate to the other people, the sender and the receiver both have some common understanding about this topic or about this kind of information, then only there will be effective communication, because they both of them are having same kind of interest, so that they can share their information, they can feel, the sender can feel that information, and they can share their own ideas also regarding that kind of event or that kind of information. So this way, both of them, whether it is sender or whether it is a receiver, they can establish some common understanding. So for effective communication, there are some criteria you can see. Quick in problem solving. So since both of them has same kind of situation, same understanding, so that they can quickly solve out the problem. Then strong decision making. So they can analyze their own idea, and by that way, they can quickly make some decision. Then more productivity. So in teamwork, basically, the effective communication we need for more productivity of our task, of our organization. Then consistency in the workflow. So if though they have similar understanding and similar thinking ability, so they will be consistently involved in that workflow. And then strong business relation, they can develop some strong kind of relationship between those persons. Then better control, they have their own idea and they can share their own idea, so they have that control on that task, specific task, whatever they're assigning to them. And advanced professional image. So effective communication helps the persons to develop some kind of professional image, advanced professional image. And better response from all the stakeholders. So even the person is the effective communicator, so they have that good rapport with all the members of their organization. So that will help them to develop to get some response from all the members of that organization. So these are some criteria of effective communication. Then characteristics of effective communication. So when we're going to discuss about characteristics of effective communication, we will divide that whole communication part into communication process into 4 parts. First one is message, then next one is channel, what are the platform, what are the medium we are going to use to communicate ourselves, then sender, and in the part of receiver. So both, all 4 categories will be discussing the characteristics differently. So first of all, let us discuss the effective communication characteristics of the message. So message should be very clear, then accurate, then relevant, timely, meaningful, and applicable. It should be very clear so that receiver can understand very easily. Then accurate, proper information will be needed by the receiver. Then relevant, information should be relevant in terms of present context of the sender, receiver. Then timely, on specific time, at what time we need that kind of information according to the need base of the receiver. So then only the communication will be effective one. So timely passing the information is very important. And meaningful, of course, whatever we are communicating, what kind of information we are passing to our receiver, that should be meaningful. Then applicable, so that the information we are providing to our receiver is applicable in their own situation. Then only they will receive that kind of information, right? So here we can see the 7 C's of communication. These are some characteristics, but we can use the term as component or 7 C's of communication. It is clear, already we have discussed, then correct, that means accurate, complete, then full information, meaningful information, then concrete, very specific manner, concise, then consideration, courteous, and clear. So all these are component of the effective communication process. So the message should be very clear, correct, complete one, concrete one, concise one, then consider the present context, then courteous, that means applicable to the receiver point of view. So this is the characteristics of a message. So after that, what are the characteristics of sender? That means the communicator. So effective communication requires the sender to know the subject well. What kind of information we are passing? So we have to know that subject very well. Then be interested in the subject. So we also develop some interest towards this subject. Then know the audience well. We have to know our audience. What is their background situation? What is their actual need in their situation? We have to know these things. Then able to establish a rapport. We in my first slide I have told that we have to establish some kind of rapport, some relationship with the other persons. Then only we can effectively communicate. And speak at the level of the receiver. While communicating, the communicator should flow with the receiver's speed only. We can't flow with our speed. We have to go with the receiver only. Then choose an appropriate communication channel. It is very, very, very important. While communicating the information with the people, we have to select proper or appropriate channel, which is effective for our audience or for our receiver of this communication process. So in part of the sender, they should have this kind of characteristics. Then the channel. What are the medium actually we are going to use to communicate? So the channel should be appropriate, proper channel, then affordable. It should be affordable both in terms of communicator as well as communicating. Then appealing. So it should be very appealing by receivers also. So these are the characteristics of a proper communication channel. Then lastly, the characteristics of receiver. The receiver should be aware and willing to accept the message. So when they are actually willing to accept the message, there should be some need, right? They should have some need on that specific message. Then listen attentively. whatever the information the communicator is sharing, so receiver should listen first to the speaker. They have some questions or they have some doubts or they have some queries also regarding this information. But first of all, they have to attentively listen to the speaker, what actually he want to share or what actually he want to communicate. First of all, we have to listen him very carefully. After that, we have to, if we have any kind of queries or any type, anything, we want to share our ideas. After that only we can share. First of all, we have to give time to the communicator. Then understand the value of the message. We have to understand what is the value of this message, whether there is any kind of need in our own situation or not. How this kind of information will help us in our near future also. So these are the things we have to analyze it. Then provide feedback. After receiving the information, we have to analyze the information, whether it is essential or not, how much important in our own situation. And after that, we have to provide some feedback. Very, very, very important in effective communication process. After attentively listen to the speaker, we have to understand this information, we have to analyze this information, and lastly, we have to give some feedback to the speaker, whether this kind of information is very much essential or not. If we need more kind of information also, we can just tell them that we need more kind of information. So these are the characteristics of 4 parts of communication process: sender, receiver, message, and channel. So these are characteristics for effective communication process. Then some other aspect of effective communication, like active listening and show respect. We have to show respect for other person's feelings. That is called empathy, and opinions also. So in a group, if we are communicating to accomplish some task, so each and every members of that group have their own feelings, own ideas. So we have to give respect all the ideas. We have to take all the ideas. After that, we can analyze among the all group members, and we can select the best ideas to accomplish that kind of task. Then empathize, we have already discussed. See things from the other person's point of view. So if we put our feet to another person's shoes, then we can understand the feelings of other persons. So that is called empathy or empathize. We have to understand the feelings of other persons. Then simple, speak in simple language. Always while communicating with others, we have to use simple language so that the listener can easily understand. Then praise. Most people are very reluctant to praise others, even when it is due. Whenever it is necessary, we have to praise the other person. That means your information is very correct, and thank you for the information. Just like that, we can praise the speaker. Then appeal to senses. So that means dramatize your ideas and involve the other person. We have to create some situation so that our ideas we can just share, and we can involve the other person ideas also in our idea, so that we can make some better idea to accomplish the task or to do any kind of activity. Then next is synchronize with your listener. So we synchronize your words with the speed of receptivity of the listener. As I have already mentioned, we have to go with the flow with the receiver only. We have to follow the speed of receiver. We should not flow with our own speed. We have to go with our receiver only. Then sell, make the other persons feel that their idea, that means that whatever the idea we have developed, that is their idea. So like that way, we can develop our communication skills better, and we can develop the trust also among all the people in that group or in that team. So these are some other aspects of effective communications. Apart from this listener point of view, then sender point of view, then in the context of message, in the context of channel, we have to go through these things also while communicating with other persons. Then next part is the basic communication, interpersonal communication model. there are two terms, I think you all know, intrapersonal and interpersonal. So intrapersonal means within ourselves. We can communicate with us also, with ourselves also. We are suppose we're thinking something and we are listening some music. So that means this by listening that music, we are creating some ideas. Okay, so that is called intrapersonal, within us, right? Then interpersonal. Interpersonal means we have to use two or more persons. So the interpersonal communication model is, that means we need one sender and we need one receiver. So here you can see the communicator is communicating about some event to the receiver. So message, that means there is some context or there is some effect also in terms of communicator and as well as in terms of receiver. So the communicator, by providing that kind of information to the receiver, they can influence the message quality. Whatever the message quality, that can be influential. The communicator can make that influential to the receiver. That can be, that means they can make the attractive information to the receiver, so that receiver can attentively listen to the communicator. Then accuracy. Accuracy we have already discussed. That means message should be very accurate. Then clarity. Clarity means very clear, very easily understandable by receiver. Then include age, gender, values, belief, culture, experience, and needs of the receiver. So while communicating with the other persons, so we have to analyze this kind of categories like age of the receiver. So at what stage or what age actually the receiver wants to, what kind of information, that thing also very important. And gender. So suppose male receiver have interest on different subject, or female receiver, they have interest on different subject. So we have to analyze this thing also. Then only we can build some common understanding, right? Then we have to value. We have to give respect their values, their beliefs, their cultures, and their experience and their needs also. While communicating ourselves, communicating with receivers, though we have to give respect the receivers' values, their religions, their customs, their needs also. So then only our communication will be very effective. So now perceptions. While communicating in the this slide, I have mentioned that we have to give some respect the values or beliefs, cultures of other receivers' point of view, right? So perception means that is a knowledge we have with us. We have, it is a process of gathering information through our senses. 6 senses we can use to collect some information and organizing and making sense of it. So after collecting information, we have to, create some sense out of this kind of knowledge or information. And how information is interpreted to create meaning is also influenced by individuals' makeup and background. So our background will decide what kind of actually knowledge we have and what kind of knowledge we can develop. So our background also very much essential. Background means our age group, our gender perceptions, our organization where we are working. So our qualification background also, academic background also, everything we actually develop some understanding what kind of information or what kind of knowledge we can develop or we want to develop. That is called perception. So for perception, we use all this kind of sense, that sight, sound, smell, taste, and touch. So people see things differently. Suppose we are working in a group. This is the training group. We have around 117 persons, right? So each and every participants, we have different thinking ability. We can see same things in different way. So it is based upon our background, our cultural background, our educational background, then our thinking background also. So it is based on that way. Now we are discussing something about interpersonal skills, right? So each and every person, they have their own idea regarding these interpersonal skills. So we have to respect each one's idea. We have to respect everyone. What is their idea? What is their thinking ability? What is their point of view regarding these interpersonal skills? So every person, they while communicating or to get the knowledge also, they can use seeing quality, then hearing quality, then taste, touch, and smell. So all the sense we can use to collect our knowledge, to gather some information. So perception, it is different from individual to individual due to personal difference, socioeconomic differences, and cultural differences. So what are the personal differences? Like age, gender, race, past experiences. So based on that, people have different perception on their own. Then some social economic, examples of perception, like occupation. Suppose I am doing in a training institute, so I have more interest on training topics, right? Like that way, level of educations. So based on our education level also, academic level also, we have our own some perceptions. So someone is from science background, someone is from arts background, someone is from commerce background. So we all have different level of education. So based on that, we have different kind of perception, and we want to develop different kind of, collect some different kind of information. But soft skill, it is a such a kind of, information or perception. Each and everyone at present situation, each and everyone, it's need in our day-to-day life. We can develop. We have to develop this kind of, skills in our to sharpen our career, to develop our career, right? Then environmental factor. Suppose someone is from a town background, someone is from a rural background. So we have some environmental factor that actually affect us to collect our information, to develop our knowledge. Then family upbringing. Of course, it depends on our family also, how our family upbringing is. So based on that also, we have some different perception. These are some social economic perception or filters, you can say. Then some example of cultural differences. We have our own cultures, right? So we Assamese people, we have some cultures or some traditions. Then Arunachali people, they have some their own cultures. Some Rajasthani peoples, they have also there are some own cultures or traditions like that way. So based on this culture also, we have different perception. Then language, like then customs, belief system, then historical perspective also. So these are some examples of cultural differences based on which our perception will be different. Three part of communication we already discussed: verbal, vocal, and visual. Just some examples I want to show you. Verbal means what are the words we are going to use in any kind of language, not only in English, not only in Hindi, our own language also, our traditional language also. So what kind of words we are going to use that express 70% of what we are going to share. Then vocal communication, it's include 38% we have already discussed. So some common examples of vocal communication I want to share. So monotone. Monotone means voice tone. What are the tones we are going to use while communicating, right? So if we use the monotone, then from receiver's point of view, he will think that I am bored and not interested in what you are saying. That means same tone we are going to use. That is, the receiver point of view, it is most of the times it get bored. Then slow speed, low pitch. Slow speed and low pitch. Speed, we all know, speed is very slow, like that. Vocal example, so like that. So very slow. No one is going to, listen more and more to this kind of speed, right? And low pitch, if we use the low pitch, that the other person cannot hear properly even. So what will happen? I'm depressed and want to left alone. Just like that. Then third one is high pitched and empathic. I am enthusiastic about the subject. If we use the high pitch, then and empathic also, we can understand the feeling of the receiver also. Then the receiver will feel that I am enthusiastic and about to know the subject more and more. Just like that. So these are some examples of vocal. Then abrupt speed and very loud tone we are using. Then an abrupt speed, quickly we are going to speak. So at that point of view, at that point of time, the receiver will say that I'm angry and not open to input. Whatever information he is sharing, I'm not interested at all. Like that way. Then high pitch and slow speed. If we use the high tone of voice, then speed is very slow. Then also the receiver, they will think that I don't believe what I'm hearing, what kind of information he is sharing. I'm not sure whether it's correct or not, whether it is accurate or not. So just like that. So some effective communication, way of effective communication, what kind of what to say, vocal component where we have to follow for effective communication. First one is pitch, high pitch, low pitch. We have already discussed, right? So pitch, whether it is high or low, speech experts say low is desirable because it's project and it's more pleasant to the employee. So if we use the low pitch, not also very low, but we can use the medium pitch, so that it will be effective for employees or for our listeners, also for our audience also, to get understand what actually we are sharing. That is called pitch. We have to, for effective communication, we have to use low or medium speech, medium pitch. Then inflection. Inflection means monotone only. We have to avoid speaking in monotone. We have to vary our tone according to the point of information, whatever, what is the very essential point we are going to share. So that on that point, we have to give some emphasis so that listener can actively listen actually what is we are going to share. So use feelings to express an idea or mood. Emphasize keywords. Whatever the key words in our information, we actually want to emphasize it so that our listener or our receiver can actively hear. Then courtesy. Courtesy we have already discussed. We have to show some courtesy towards our audience so that they can expect it. Our employees, our listener, they generally expect some courtesy to from our speaker. So we have to show some courtesy towards our participants or towards our audience. Then tone. So it's not what you say, what we are going to say. It's not tone, but how you are going to say, how we're going to present to our audience or to our listener. That is called tone. So your voice can reflect sincerity, interest, and understanding. Whatever the tone I am going to use during my session, it is depend on how much I am sincere towards this session, how much I am interested towards this session, how much I can understand the feelings of my participants also. That is called tone. It's not what I am sharing, but how I am sharing my point. Then understanding. So adjust your language to your employees or our colleagues or our listeners. No quotes, no jargon. That means whatever we are communicating with our listener, so they can be understandable by our listener. So if we are from same group or same age group or same gender group, so like that way, so that will be effective to share some kind of language. Some common languages are there. At present situation, we are in WhatsApp, we are using so many emoticons, right? Emoticons we can use, and some SMS languages are there, which actually we are using, right? So TTYL. So, but we cannot use that talk to you later, that means. So we cannot use this kind of jargons or codes in our professional mail or professional message to our superior also. So that is not understandable by that person. Okay. So we have to understand the our listeners also. What is his age group? How actually we are going to, what kind of language or what kind of on what way, in what way actually we are going to present himself in any kind of information. Then rate. So basic rate is 120 words per minute. While delivering some speech or while delivering, suppose we are giving some speech in radio or television like that, or we are discussing some panel discussion also, we are delivering something. So that is the common, simple and common rate is 120 words per minute. So if we cross this 120, then also it will be difficult for listener to accept or to receive this proper information. And if we use less than 120 word also, it will be get bored by the listener point of view. So we have to focus on that rate of our speech. Then enunciation. speak clearly to avoid repetition and misunderstanding. We have to pass the information very clearly so that our audience can understand it quickly. So there should not be any repetition and misunderstanding between communicator and the receiver. These are the vocal examples, vocal communication examples. Now some visual communication elements. So first one is posters. So while communicating with others, this is an online platform, so there is no meaning of giving gestures and posters. But yeah, in face-to-face conversation, posters is very much essential. While communicating with our boss, suppose we are sharing some information to our boss, we are giving some status update of our task to our boss. So that on that specific situation, our poster should be different, right? And while communicating or while suppose giving some instruction to our subordinate, so then also all posters will be different. So poster, you communicate numerous messages by the way you talk and move, how we move, then how we actually talk to our superior or to our colleague or to our junior. So that communicate already different kind of message, whether I am showing some attitude, whether I am polite to our boss. So these are the things they will quickly understand by observing our posters. Then standing erect and leaning forward communicates to listeners that you are approachable, receptive, and friendly. I am standing and just leaning forward. So that means I am very approachable towards my employees or towards my colleague also and towards my listeners also. Then interpersonal closeness result when the listeners face each other. So while communicating with each other, so we have to, show some closeness. We are while communicating with our colleagues, our closeness will be different, right? While communicating with our junior, then also our closeness will be different. Then speaking with your back turned or looking at your floor or ceiling should be avoided as it communicates disinterest. I am talking about like that, talking with you and showing I am watching somewhere else. So that will depict that is I am not interested at all in this topic or in this situation. So these are some posters we have to give concentration on to develop this kind of thing. Then hand gestures. So if you fail to gestures while speaking, you may be perceived as boring or stiff. So where I am keeping my hand, so that is also very important. A lively speaking style captures the listener's attention, makes the conversation more interesting, and facilitates understanding. So while communicating, my hand should be in such a way that this is very understanding by our listeners, our audience. So just like that, I have to make my hands move, right? Then facial expression. So smiling is a powerful cue that transmits happiness, friendliness, and warmth and liking. So smiling means only give us a simple smile, but not ha 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 like that. But we have to always keep our face very pleasant so that the listeners or our audience, they can feel very easy to talk with us. So if you smile frequently, you will be perceived as more likable, friendly, warm, and approachable. So every time if we give simple smile, then everyone is coming to us and everyone will like us. So they will be more comfortable around you and will want to listen more and more. So basically this facial expression is needed in face-to-face conversation. In physical training, it will be very, needful. But in online platform also, we can say some, we can show some at least present face so that our community, our audience or our listener, they can create some understanding towards us, create some attraction towards us, what actually we are communicating. Then eye contact. To maintain the eye contact while communicating, it's very much essential. If we don't make eye contact with our listener, that means we are not interested on the topic. It depicts like that. So it helps to regulate the flow of communication. If we make eye contact, our communication will flow in such a way that both will be happy. It signals interest in others and increase the speaker's credibility. If we make eye contact properly, then our credibility of speaking also will enhance. People who makes eye contact open the flow of communication and convey interest, concerns, warmth, and credibility. So while communicating with the person, so we have to make proper eye contact. Then space. Proper eye contact means it's not like that I am staring at you like that only, but we have to make some, pleasant eye contact with our audience. Then space. Space means cultural norms dictate a comfortable distance for interaction with others. While communicating with other person, suppose I am communicating with my colleague, so that distance will be different, right? And I am communicating with my parents, so that distance also will be different. So just like that, we have to maintain that distance. We have to maintain that space between communicator and listener. So you should look for signals of discomfort caused by invading the other person's space. So I have to get some signals. If that other person is showing some signals that I can understand, actually he is not suitable in that situation. So according to that, I have to make him comfortable. Some of these are leg swing, tapping, and gaze aversion. So these are some signals that depicts that the other person is not comfortable with that space, with that situations. So according to that, we have to adjust our space. So these are some visual communication elements. So now comfort zones. So there are some comfort zones, that means according to the space. So intimate distance, that is touching to 18 inches. Intimate distance means our loved ones or with our best friends while communicating. So we can maintain the touching distance to 18 inches. Then personal distance. So with suppose we are communicating with our parents or with our colleagues like that. So we can maintain distance from 18 inches to 4 feet. Then social distance. We're in a social platform and we are providing, delivering some lectures or we're giving some speech. So on that specific situation, we have to maintain the distance from 4 feet to 12 feet. And lastly, the public distance, public speaking or addressing the audience, large numbers of audience. So in that situation, we have to maintain the distance of 12 feet to 15 feet. So these are the comfort zones. So if we, in a public system or in a social distance, if we maintain a distance of touching to 18 inches, so that the listeners, they won't be comfortable in that situation, and us also most of the times we won't feel comfortable. So we have to maintain these 4 comfort zones while communicating with the persons. So we have to find out this thing. We have to analyze these zones. So these are all about communication process. Okay. Next is important point is listening or hearing skills. So do you know the difference between listening and hearing? Anyone? Difference between listening and hearing. Are they same? Listening and hearing, are they same? No, yeah. What is the difference then? If it is no, then what is the difference between listening and hearing? Anyone? Okay, listening is the art to understand what we hear. Listening is like understanding. Yeah. Listening include attention. Yeah, very correct. Listening means to pay attention to something. Listening requires attention. Yeah, you all know. Listening and hearing are not equal. Okay, it is a 2 different terms. Hearing means in hearing we only use our ear. Only we can hear. So, but in listening, our all senses, it will be included in the listening process. We have to pay attention. We have to mentally, we have to prepare to hear something. That is called listening. So the difference between listening and hearing are, hearing is simply the act of receiving sound by the ear. If you are not hearing impaired, hearing simply happens. we don't want to hear. So if we don't want to hear also, but hearing can happen anywhere. We are discussing something in my nearby places. Some machine is running, so that is I'm hearing that sound. That can affect me also. But there is no option. If I don't want to hear also, but it will be coming. So that is called hearing. Listening requires concentration so that your brain process meaning from words and sentence you heard. So listening leads to learning. Listening means we have to concentrate ourselves. Whatever the words we are hearing. So in our mind, we create some meaning of that specific word according to our thinking ability. So that is called listening. And after creating this meaning, we have to analyze the whole thing. What actually I am hearing? What is the process? I mean, what are the information I'm collecting? So everything we have to analyze it. So that is called listening. It is a mental ability. Hearing to it is just like it's just we can hear. It simply happens. But listening, it is a mental ability, mental process. We have to pay attention. We have to give concentration. So listening, it leads to learning, but hearing, it's not lead to learning. After hearing, we have to give concentration also to convert it into listening process. After that only we can learn the information. We can learn anything. Then why you need good listening skills? So good listening skills make workers more productive. We have already discussed in interpersonal skills, three common important is communication and listening. And after that, teamwork or problem solving. So communication, listening skills, it involves in the communication process itself, because the communicator, he will communicate something, right? After that, receiver, they have to listen. They should not hear. They have to listen what kind of information that communicator is sending. So we have to listen it. We have to give concentration what information we are getting. After that, we have to analyze it, the information. And lastly, we have to provide some feedback. So that is why good listening skills is more needed to develop our interpersonal skills. If we listen to more and more persons, if we listen some, music videos, then only we can, creating the meaning of that song, right? We can feel that meaning of this song. So just like that, good listening skills, it requires for better understanding the assignments. Suppose we are our superior, they are providing dictating some assignments to us. So if we listen properly, then only we can understand what is the assignment is, what we are going to do. Then build rapport with co-workers and bosses. So if we listen properly to our junior or to our senior, then only we can build the rapport with our colleagues as well as our bosses. And work better in a team. For effective teamwork, we have to listen properly to each and every person in the team. Then resolve problems. If we listen properly, then we can quickly find out the solution of any kind of problem. Some ideas will be creating in our mind, right? If we listen properly. So that is why listening is important to resolve the problems. Then answer the questions. Suppose we are participating in this online training program, someone is asking some questions. So if we listen properly that question, then only we'll be able to find out the answer for that questions. So that is why listening skills required. And lastly, find underlying meaning in what others say. Actually, in what way the communicator is communicating to us. If we listen properly, then only we can understand the feelings of other person. We have to pay attention to that person's, what kind of information he is sharing and in what way he wants to share the information to us. So we can understand that feeling also. So that is why good listening skills we need in our day-to-day life for development of our interpersonal skills. Then typical listening barriers. While listening, while giving attention to the speakers also, there are so many barriers that can affect us. So what are those? Like bias or prejudice. The speaker will be biased sometimes. So he will pay attention to one or two receivers, or to employees or participants. So in that case, other persons will feel disrupted. So that can be a barrier for those kind of participants or those kind of employees. Then language differences or accent. So our language will be different. I am from Assam, so my language, traditional language is Assamese. Then someone is having Arunachali, someone is having some kind of. So our own languages very much differ from each other, right? So while communicating in a common language, that is whether it is called English or whether it is called Hindi or some other languages also, so we have our own accent on that language. So that accent, it can be a barrier for other person because their accent is very different, right? So this can be a barrier for the listener point of view. Then noise. I am listening to you now first. You are listening to me now. If nearby some music system is, music system is there, so that will be create some barriers to you, so that you could not listen properly to me. So that can be a barrier. Then worry or fear or anger. If I am, very angry with you, and you are, sharing something to me, or you are talking to me, I am not at all interested. In that case also, that means that can be a barrier for us because we cannot listen properly to you because we are angry. Then lack of attention. If we are not at all interested on that specific topic, what the other person is conveying to us, that can be also a barrier for the process, listening process. So lack of attention, it can be a barrier. Then additional listening barriers are making up your mind in advance that the subject is understanding or unimportant. If in beforehand we have decided that this topic is I know already, it is not necessary for me. So that can be a barrier in the listening process. Thus, I am attending the session, but I am not at all interested in that topic. So that can be a barrier. And focusing on speaker's look, delivery, instead of on what he or she is saying. At present, I am delivering the lecture, okay? If you are not giving attention actually what I am saying, but you are giving attention actually how am I looking, how actually I am giving the facial expression. Only if we look that only, that can be a barrier for the listeners. So on that way, the speaker always, while communicating or delivering some speech, we have to maintain some dignity, or we have to maintain some maintain our facial expression, maintain our dress code also. Then paying only partial attention to what someone is saying because you are busy thinking about what you are going to say next. That can be also a barrier. Suppose two person is communicating, the other person is communicating something on that specific topic. At that time, I am thinking that next turn is mine. So what I am going to say in against that questions. So in that case also, that can be a barrier for us because I cannot listen properly to that person. I am thinking that what I am going to say next. So that can be a barrier. Then not paying attention to details. In details, what actually the person is saying, I know, but I'm not paying the attention in details, the whole procedure. And if I'm not going to pay attention in that case, so that can be a barrier for us. And not distinguish the major points from supporting examples. On a specific topic, suppose the communicator, he is giving some example, right? But I'm not able to distinguish the major points. What are the important points that the person is discussing with the proper examples. So that can be a barrier for us. Then daydreaming or allowing our attention to wander. So suppose someone is discussing some about some important topics, and I am thinking that today I have to visit Big Bazaar, I have to buy something like that. So that can be a barrier for us also in the listening process. So these are some barrier in listening process. So listening, it's affected by three components: selective attention, selective interpretation, and selective retention. So what are those? Selective attention, it means we decide on what we focus on. and where we give our attention. So we have to select already on which point we are going to give focus, on which way, on where we are going to pay our attention. If we beforehand we have discussed selected these things, so that can be affect our attention, listening. Then selective interpretation. We place our own personal meaning on what the person is saying. So what suppose one communicator is communicating something, sharing some ideas, and we are placing that idea in our own situation. That can be selective interpretation. We can interpret ourselves that things. So, oh, this will happen to me if I am acting like that. I'll be doing this kind of work. So like that way, I can interpret in our mind. So that can be affect the listening process. Then lastly, the selective retention. So we make conscious and unconscious decision on which incoming sounds we should invest our concentration. So knowingly or unknowingly, or consciously or unconsciously, we actually make some decision on what actually we hear. We are not going to pay attention, we are going to pay attention, just like that. So that is called selective retention. So it is knowingly or unknowingly it happened. So that is also affect the listening process. So active listening, it is a structured form of listening and responding that focuses the attention of the speaker. Active listening means we have to focus on, we have to pay attention to the speaker. Here the listeners have to express what he or she thinks the speaker has said. The listener does not have to agree with the speaker. He or she must simply state that they think the speaker, they think what the speaker said. That means we are listening to our speaker. After completing the sentence by the speaker, we can say that my point of view is like that. We can say like that. It's not, it's not a crime. We can share our ideas, but we may or may not agree with the speaker, but we have to respect the speakers. What is his point of view? Then this enables the speakers to find out whether the listener really understood. If the listener did not, the speaker can explain some more. I am explaining something on interpersonal skills or now at listening. If you are not understanding this point, you can just text me that this point I am not clear about. So on that specific situation, I have to explain some more so that you will be able to understand these things. So this is active listening process. Some demonstrate active listening like eye contact, verbal responses, asking relevant questions, postures, gestures, notes, future actions, feelings of being valued, heard, and cared. So if we show this non-verbal communication, non-verbal, behavior, we can maintain these body languages towards our communicator or towards our speaker, even to our listeners also. So that will demonstrate that the listening process is very much active. If we maintain proper eye contact with our speakers, that means we are listening properly. We are paying attention to that person. Then verbal responses also. If we want to say something, I am communicating now, I am delivering this lecture. And after that, if you give me some, responses, I'm asking something that is there any difference between listening and hearing? Quickly, you have replied in the chat box, right? So that is, some responses that we can understand that listening is active. And asking relevant questions. If not understand anything by the listeners, quickly they can ask the questions. But we have to give time to the speakers. Let them finish first. Then postures. We have to maintain our gestures, postures. So our hand should be like that. Our facial expression should be like that. So that's like that we have to maintain. Then future actions. In our future, what we are going to do after proper listening to our speaker. Suppose our speaker is explaining something and dictating something to do, to perform. So we have to listen first. And after, according to our listening only, we are going to do what will be our actions in near futures. Then feelings of being valued, heard, and cared for. So we have to show that they feel we have care for him, we have give respect, we are hearing them or hearing him. So these are some criteria which demonstrate the active listening. So this is all about listening part. if anything, any doubt, you can ask. Yeah, thank you. We're listening to you. Thank you. So is there anything regarding communication and listening part? Time is very less. Okay, we can go for then team building or teamwork. After that, at last, we will discussing if you have any queries or anything. So team building and teamwork. So what is team? You know, the team word itself, it abbreviates together, everyone achieve more. So if we come together to do some work, then definitely we can achieve more and more. When in a team, suppose 10 to 12 members are there. So if all the members will come together in the picture itself, you can see. So they can achieve more and more. They can go fast and fast in that boat. So team itself, it means together everyone achieve more. So there is a story in team actually for team building or team work. So there are two dogs which were tied in the same rope, and for both the dogs in two different parts there are food. Someone is keeping food for them, but in two different directions, and they were tied with the same rope. So first of all, they were trying to reach their own part of food. You can see in the pictures, both the dogs, they were trying their own kind of part of food and to have it. They are trying and trying, but they failed to achieve their goal. They could not reach their own part of food. So after that, what happened? They sit and they discuss why we are not able to achieve our goal, or what we are not actually able to get our own part of food, because there are two different foods for two dogs. Okay, so after that they have discussed what to do. So they have planned it, and accordingly, first of all, with this tied rope, they have went to one part of food. They have together finished that food, and after that again they have went to the next part of food, and quickly they have finished it. So just like that, whenever they were trying individually, they could not achieve their goal. But when they come together, so they have achieved their own part of food, and they can, they build the trust among them. So they can trust both the dogs. They can trust each other because they have divided the their own food among them equally. They can divide it, and they could have. So that is the suitable example of teamwork. If we come together, we can achieve more and more, and we can effectively complete our task within a stipulated period of time. So team means it's a group of individuals who cooperate and work together to achieve a given set of objectives or goals. Means all the individuals will come closer, will cooperate and work together to achieve their own goal. That is called team. It is an example of football player. Then teamwork. So it is a close cooperation. Team means it is a group who are coming together, who will work together, and who can achieve the same objective, right? Teamwork means it is a close cooperation between cross-trained employees who are familiar with a wide range of jobs in their organization. We are working in an organization. I have some different background, or I have some different skills, and other person, they will have some different skills. So if our boss will assign some task to us, so based on our skills, suppose I am expert in that, he is expert in that, just like that. So based on our experience or based on our skills, if we divide our work among all the group members, then we can accomplish the tasks effectively, and within a stipulated period of time we can complete our tasks and we can submit to our boss. So that is called teamwork. We have to cooperate. Each and every member in an organization, we have to cooperate the team to complete the task. Team means we have to work and say we have to complete the, we have to achieve our own goal, but here we have to complete the task, so that based on our experience or our skill, we can cooperate. We can put our expertise in that situation, in that activity, so that quickly we can accomplish the task. So this is called teamwork. So reasons for team building: improving the communication. If we work in a team, definitely we can improve our communication ability. Then making the workplace more enjoyable while working in a team. So we can, learn more things from different peoples, different employees, or different team members. I am expert in some activity, so other person can learn from me that activity, and someone is expertise in computer skills, so we all the other members, we can learn some computer skills from that person. So just like that, that environment will be enjoyable. Then motivating a team or improve the team productivity. So while working in a team, everyone is encouraging, enthusiastic. So like that way, everyone can get some motivation to work more and more. While working in a team, we can achieve our own personal objectives also. Suppose I want to develop some computer skills. We are working in a team to achieve, accomplish some tasks which was assigned by our boss. But while working in a team, I am not expert in computer skills, but some computer expert is there. So while performing this task, I can learn from that person's some computer skills. So like that way, we can motivate the team also, we can motivate us also, we can develop our own objective also. So we can improve the team productivity also. Quickly, we can complete the task. Then getting everyone onto the same page, including goal setting. So everyone is in the same platform, same page, that means. So because our goal is same. So we can set the same goal to achieve more. Then teaching the team self-regulation strategy. So while working in a team, it actually helps us to self-regulation. I think there is a one session, self-awareness and self-control. So while working in a team, we can develop some strategy to regulate ourselves, to control ourselves. So that is also helpful for team building. Then helping participants to learn themselves. In a team, everyone is motivating the other person. By that way, the participants, they can learn themselves. In our training program, always we used to, we'll fix some sessions for teamwork or group activity, so that the participants can learn more and more themselves by working the things, and of course they can build a rapport with other participants also. So that will be very helpful for our person to develop interpersonal skills, as well as the activity also they can get done quickly. Identifying and utilizing the strengths and team members, strength of the team members. We can find out who is expert in which skill. So like that way, we can divide the activity quickly, and quickly they can perform the task. So these are the basic reasons for team building and teamwork. Lastly, practicing effective collaboration with team members. Then there's the difference between group and team. So group are strong, clearly focused. Team are shared leadership roles. Group means someone is assigning the task, and accordingly they will, the objective is clear. So according to that, the member will do that activity. But team, some activity, one person who is expert in that, so he will lead the team. And other activity, the other person who will expert in that, he will share the leadership. So like that way, each and every member get to share their leadership skills. So by that way, they can develop their leadership skills as well as their communication skills. So group individual accountability. Someone is doing some mistakes, so he is accountable for them, for that activity. He's responsible for that. But in team, whatever the results, whether it is positive or whether it is negative, individual and mutual accountability will be there. Each and every members of the team will take the responsibility for that, whether it is successful one or whether it is unsuccessful one. So the group purpose is the same as the broader organization mission. Bigger organization, broader organization, they have some mission or vision or task or target. So just like that, group also, they have same purpose or same mission. But in team, specific team purpose will be differ. So small team will be there. So their specific, purpose will be different. So just like that, different teams will be there. So all the teams will be performing their own task. Just like that, they can perform whole the activity in a collaboration mode. The individual work products in group, then collective work products in team. So that means individual are involving for performing the specific work, but in team, collaborative work will be done. In group, runs efficient meetings. So a meeting will be there. In the meeting, that will be discussed that this person will perform this kind of activity like that. But in team, rather than meetings, the persons, the people or group member, they will encourage the open-ended discussion. They will discuss, not dictating or not directing that you do this like that. So they will discuss and they will find some solution to their problem. That is, if we do in that way, that can then we can complete the task quickly and effectively. So that encouragement will be there in the team. Then in group, measures performance indirectly by its influence or others, and in team, measures its effectiveness direct by collaborative work product. Then in group, decides, delegates. Mainly delegation is there in group, but in team, discuss, decide, and does the real work together. After discussion, they will take some decision. According to that, all the group team members will be working in the real situation. But in group, so they will delegate the authority. So just you do these things, you do these things like that. So these are the difference between group and team. Is it clear? So skills needed for teamwork. What kind of skills we need for developing the teamwork skills or team building skills in ourselves? So listening first. Important skills is listening. We have to listen each and every members. What is their idea to get the solution to our problems? Then questioning. If not understanding, but what actually one member is sharing their ideas, if not understandable by us, then we can quickly ask some questions. That means what actually your point of view, that way. Persuading. So persuading skills also, it for teamwork, it needs, we have to persuade other members. We can persuade the knowledge of other members also. Then respecting each and every member, we have to respect each and every members of the team, their capability, their skills. We have to respect that. Then helping, that means collaboration. Collaboratively, all the individuals will do to accomplish the task in a team. Then sharing, we can share our own ideas. Each and every members, they have to get the chance to share their own ideas. Then participating. After sharing their own ideas, they will finalize it. They will discuss it, which will be better, which idea will be better. And on that specific idea, all the members will be participating to perform different tasks. So these are the skills that are needed for teamwork. Then key characteristics of team: a common goal and approach should be there. Then mutual accountability should be there. Trust and collaboration among all the members. Then shared leadership quality with all the members, and synergy. So this is the basic characteristics of a team. While working in a team, we have a common goal which we are going to achieve. Then if everything, anything happen to that activity, whether we fail or whether we get success on that specific activity, each and every member, they have to accountable for that responsibility. Then trust should be there, collaboration should be there. If we develop our communication skills, then of course we can develop the trust and collaboration between each and every members. Then we can share the leadership based on our expertise or based on our skills. Then synergy, we have to maintain some synergy so that each and every members feel comfortable to work in a team. So these are the basic characteristics of a team. So this is all about interpersonal skills. So if we develop interpersonal skills effectively, if we want to develop interpersonal skills effectively, then we have to give concentration on to develop our communication skills, to our listening skills, and to our team building skills. Even because we are going to work in an organization, right? Whatever the organization it may be, but we are going to work in an organization. For that, we have to develop, we have to sharpen us, we have to, we have to analyze our strength, We have to analyze our weakness, and based on that, we have to develop the interpersonal skills like communication skills, communication ability, leadership quality. We have then listening ability we are having, then problem solving capability, then team building. The characteristics of working in a team. We have to possess these things. Then only we can develop our interpersonal skills. So there is actually quotation called SW, 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 SW. Have you heard about these things? SW, 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 SW. 4 SW. Have you heard about these things? So what does it mean, you know? First SW means some will. And second SW means some won't. Then third SW means so what. And fourth SW means someone is waiting. So some will, some won't, so what, someone is waiting. So according to that, we have to build a relationship, that person who is waiting for us, so that we can communicate together, we can develop our interpersonal skills, we can build with the relationship with that someone is waiting, so that we can perform the task very effectively. So that is called development of interpersonal skills. So that is all from my side. If we have anything to share, or if any comments or anything to ask, any doubt, you can share.
Let's make it.
Actually, there are some tasks we can perform, but since time is already running out, so I won't go.
Participants,
for the task.
you can ask your clarification in the chat box. You can type.
They cannot be. No, she is unmuted.
Then you can unmute yourselves. You have muted.
Okay. So some second SW means some won't, some will not, someone will not, like that. Someone will, someone won't, so what, someone is waiting.
Any questions we can ask?
I think no more questions.
They are giving the compliments.
Yeah, they're giving it.
Very
Thank
nice
you
lecture.
everyone
Okay.
for compliments.
So I hope that the session, everything is all cleared from our participant side. So, Madam, once again, I thank you with all my heart for spending this time from your busy schedule. Yes, we should try to possess the interpersonal skills in order to be ready to face in different aspects of life, and especially for our students and then other people who are trying for interviews. Good communication skill and interpersonal skill, it will help in heightening our resume. Communication skill of a candidate in an interview gives the interviewer an idea about the personality and etiquettes of the candidate. So whatever Madam has said regarding different aspects of interpersonal skill, we can slowly start practicing from now onwards in every aspect of our life. Then only we will be able to achieve all-round development of our personality. Everybody is expert in a hard skill, but it is the soft skill nowadays which determine the whether you will be chosen in an interview or not. So by saying these few words, again, Madam, we hope to meet you in other different sessions in the coming future. Thank you once again. So this is all for today's session. Thank you, Madam.
Yeah, thank you all the participants for your present hearing. And thank you again, organizing committee, to giving me this opportunity. Thank you so much.
Okay. And the participants, we will have session tomorrow at 11 a.m. And then please attend the session regularly. Your attendance is being recorded. Thank you all. That's all for today. I'm ending the session. Madam, you can log out.
दीवार में चिपका रहेगा तभी सही रहेगा, नहीं तो फिर दिक्कत हो जाएगा।
हेलो